The sky we fly in is pretty vast, and there's a lot of it to go around. But if you watch the air traffic at a major big city airport, you might think otherwise. Since keeping airplanes from touching is a very good idea, our airspace has been organized into different functional classes. This not only provides for an orderly flow of traffic at airports, but also keeps a safe distance between aircraft flying in and near the clouds. So understanding how to operate in our airspace system will make your flight safer and more comfortable for you and your passengers. Now, the different classes of airspace are identified with the letters A through G, and it's really pretty easy. In fact, let's you and I take just a minute and memorize the whole thing, because it really is that simple. Let's take a look first of all at Class A airspace. When you see that, think altitude, because that's the airspace 18,000 feet MSL and above. Up there, air traffic control keeps track of every airplane and separates them from each other. So when you see Class A or Alpha airspace, think altitude. Now, when you see Class B or Bravo airspace, think big, because this is big airspace. It's big airplanes and big airports. You can even think Boeing country if you want to. So when you see Class B, just think big, and you've got it. Now, when you see Class C or Charlie airspace, think crowded or congested. That's where they give you radar help sequencing you to the airport, and you have to talk to approach control. When you see Class D or Delta airspace, think dialogue. Dialogue, because it's where you'll find airports that are not in B big or C crowded airspace, but they still have control towers. And if the airport has a control tower, you must talk to them before you enter the area, so think dialogue. Now, Class E airspace is everywhere else that is still controlled airspace. It includes all the airways and usually the space between the airways. So when you see Class E, think elsewhere. Class F? In the U.S., there is no Class F airspace. You can see that from the list. So think of it as the forgotten class of airspace in the U.S. Finally, here's the one that I enjoy the most, Class G. When you see Class G, think go for it, because Class G is uncontrolled airspace. The weather minimums there are less strict, and you never have to talk to air traffic control. We're going to talk more about how to recognize each class of airspace and how to operate within them. But now you already have these classes memorized. Now, these classes of airspace really fall into only two basic categories. One is Class G, which is uncontrolled airspace. And then there's all the rest, which are various types of controlled airspace. In controlled airspace, air traffic control provides separation service to aircraft flying in the clouds. Now, since pilots flying in the clouds cannot rely on their eyes to avoid each other, they use procedures with ground controllers that provide a safe distance from other airplanes. Instrument flight rules set up those procedures, and so we say that those aircraft are IFR. So what flight rules are you flying under since you do not intend to fly into the clouds? You've guessed it, you're flying under visual flight rules, or VFR. Now, in general, the letters assigned to the 6 classes of airspace represent various levels of traffic density and air traffic control services. For instance, Class G airspace, go for it airspace, is airspace in which there's very little traffic and no separation service. As the letters progress to the top of the alphabet, they represent areas with more and more traffic and more ATC services. By the way, these airspace class designations are the same ones that are used internationally. So no matter where in the world you fly, you'll know and understand the airspace system.